Okay, let me just answer this and go back to play. That's on, and Apple was active as well. And these are the ones that are probably most important to you guys. And if you're running Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, Apple updated them as well. And coming, we got the 15.1 of Sequoia coming, and iOS, and you can see the rest of them that are coming because they're right now in beta still. Okay, now here's something that was very interesting. There was somebody who opened up this brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it came in this nice box, but that's not the item itself. That's a box within a box there. And here's what it looked like when he took the box that was in the box out and opened it up. And that's what it looked like. Now, if you're nostalgic about your old BlackBerry phone, there's a company called Clicks. They've come up with a case that you can stick your iPhone in and make it work just like an iPhone. I mean, like the BlackBerry phones did, and you can finger type with your thumbs all to your heart's content. A little pricey though, $159 for the largest one. And here's what it looks lying on its side. Now, the 24-inch iMacs are having an issue. The ones that are M1 iMacs, they're reporting failures of their displays. And they're typically happening about 2 years after they're purchased. And it consists of horizontal lines that come on the screen. And it's supposedly significant hampers the usability and visual appeal. And it happens without any physical damage to the iMac, and despite the fact that the iMac is absolutely stationary. Some have had to have their screens replaced to get a fix. And for those who are looking to update their Macs with firmwares when they were released, if you're running Monterey, Mac OS 12, and it's been out for more than 3 years now, so new firmware updates are not going to be released for that operating system. And here are some issues that have been reported about those who have been running Mac OS Sequoia. They may not be happening to you, but it's happened to enough of the folks so that online they're talking about them. Some third-party security tools are broken after they've updated, and it has to do with firewall-related issues. And if the software has not gone through Apple's vetting process for applications, that's more complex now to launch those applications. And there's a report that if you're using Safari, downloading is now broken. And the operating system firewall in Sequoia appears to be blocking access to web browsing for some. And some are having trouble with USB. And they're not recognizing the drives that are attached. And if you're running Microsoft Office that has docx files, which are the what Office types of files that Office uses, and after people have installed Sequoia, they're having trouble opening those files. So they're finding the workaround is to get info on a docx file and then select Microsoft Word as the open with, and then click on Change All. And now you can open them up with no trouble. And those running the Mac OS 15.01 update and Synology networking backups report that there are backup problems to the Synology network attack storage until they turn off. Let me get that thing out of the way. Okay, back up to play. They turn off the Mac OS firewall. And how about iPad OS 18 issues? Some folks using iPhones, including the iPhone 16, are reporting online that taps and touches are not being recognized after updating to version 18. And these reports include issues with iPhones as old as the iPhone 14s. And as far as rumors go, everybody online is saying that Apple's later this month is going to announce Macs with the M4 CPUs, and such as with these Macs that are listed. And might be available in the 1st of November, but we don't know yet. How about nostalgia? How about this 1983 prototype Mac with a 5.25-inch Twiggy drive? See how wide that drive opening is? That's for a 5.25-inch floppy disk. That was the first disk that they had working with a prototype Mac until they got the 400K 3.5 inches from Sony. And that machine is going to be up for auction in New York. And they're hoping to get at least 100 grand for it. And previous Macs of this type went for over 150 grand and just short of 100 grand. So that's it for nostalgia. Thanks for your attention so far. And now we'll turn our attention to items of security interest. However, there aren't that many for this month because there were so many for August and September. So all we have this month is software updates. Chrome got updated with 5 fixes, and Firefox for both the Mac and iOS have been updated with a bunch of fixes. And Adobe did their standard fixes for their Prime applications. And 1Password got a security fix as well. And Apple had security updates in these 4. Finally, Apple has been regularly updating XProtect and Gatekeeper the past month, so they can do what they can to keep this operating system and your files safe from the bad guys. And that's about all we have for this month. So thanks for your attention. And of course, the moral of the story is to stay safe. And I will now exit screen sharing.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. And now we're going to turn to more Apple event news, a little bit more in depth than we had in the last meeting with Tony. Tony, are you ready to take it over?
I think I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. So some of these are going to look familiar if you were at last month's meeting because so this is the same, just letting people know how much time people spent, how much time Apple spent on the different pieces. Just a few minutes on an intro, 20 minutes on Watch, 14 minutes AirPod, 31 minutes on the iPhone, and then 27 on the iPhone Pro. So about half the time was really all iPhone. These are all the things that Apple announced. This picture is the same. So in the upper left, we have the Apple Watch Series 10. Below that, we have a Ultra 2, which they just changed. That's just a new color. Then we have AirPods 4. AirPods Max, just a minor update for those. And then the two sets of iPhones on the right-hand side. Okay, so now a little more detail than what I had before. So the Apple Watch Series 10, um, the display is now slightly larger than the Apple Watch Ultra. I'm sure they'll fix that the next time they come out with an Ultra. It'll have a slightly bigger display as well. So they added an to the aluminum. It's jet black, and that should be polished. I'll correct that before I post it. You can see that in the front of the picture there. That's a polished color. They talked about how much effort they put into making that polish. Haven't heard anything yet about how much that takes scratches or has issues with remaining polished and takes fingerprints. It's a little the watch body is now a little bit thinner than the Series 9. They've updated the always-on display, so now instead of updating once per minute, it updates every second on the display. You can now play audio, so the speaker is loud enough that you can play audio from the watch and really play like music files and things from the watch. Uh, it used to have a 50% charge in 30 minutes. Now it's up to 80% charge in 30 minutes with the Series 10. They also have new titanium colors. So it's in titanium now for the high end instead of stainless steel. They have natural titanium, gold, and dark slate gray. And then I showed the picture of the Ultra 2 with the satin black color, which is the polished one there. Um, okay, so the AirPods. The big thing they introduced here is they have an AirPods 4, and then they also have AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. So the AirPods are the one that are the hard plastic. The entire body is the hard plastic, as opposed to the AirPods Pro, which have the silicone uh, earpiece on them. So they added essentially most of the features that were on the AirPods Pro before. So the transparency mode, adaptive audio, conversational awareness, wireless charging. The AirPods 4 have wireless charging, but then they have active noise cancellation on the AirPods 4. That's the big change. I don't know if anybody has the AirPods Max. The main change is they have new colors and they switched from Lightning to USB-C. We're going to see a couple more things that are remaining that they're going to do that with. They're either going to have to discontinue them in Europe or have USB-C because Europe has a requirement that everything has USB-C charging. Um, so um, the other big thing they spent quite a bit of time on was even though the AirPods Pro 2 are not new, they now have approval from the FDA to sell them as over-the-counter hearing aids. They have added a hearing protection feature to make sure they quiet really loud noises. They have a hearing test that will work on your phone with the AirPods Pro to determine what your hearing levels are and if you have any hearing loss. And the hearing aid feature, which they have added, allows for the recovery of mild to moderate hearing loss. And those are the clinical terms. I believe it was between 10 and 20 dB of hearing loss. And it is based on that hearing test, or if you go to an audiologist, you can enter the information from the audiologist to have these do the correction. But these can be done as over-the-counter hearing aids now, as soon as the update comes out sometime this month. Okay, now the iPhone 16 and the 16 Plus. So you can see in the picture there, the back glass now is color infused, so it's a much closer to the color of the rim around the outside edge, which is the metal piece. The screen is now up to 2000 nits, which they is similar to what the iPhone 15 Pro had. It's the 6.1 or 6.7 inch screen. This phone still has USB 2 speeds, so it's slower speeds on transfers. It has the same action button that we saw last year from the iPhone 15 Pro has now moved down into the base iPhone 16 line. Um, they added this new feature called camera control, which is something I talked about last month, but I do have the chart on camera control in here. Um, and they added the new processor is now an A18 processor. So they skipped kind of a generation. Last year, the iPhone 15 Pro had the A17 Pro, and so now the iPhone 16 has the A18 processor. And when we go to the next one, the iPhone 16 Pro has an A18 Pro. Um, this processor update was to support Apple Intelligence on the iPhone. And the other thing they've added a little bit of difference here. They went back to the vertical cameras from the diagonal cameras. It allows you this put in the 48 megapixel fusion camera that was it's very close to what the iPhone 15 Pro had, and the base iPhone will now do macro photography. So camera control, this is the same chart I had last month, but just for people who didn't see it, it is a haptic button on the side. It launches the camera. You can hold it to do video recording. You can do the control selections to decide. You can see in the lower right corner there, you want to do the depth of field, the exposure, or where you're focusing. But you can select that, and then in the upper right, it kind of shows the picking the zoom level, and that's on the 2x. You can also use it to start recording in video mode. So it's kind of like a little haptic button, but a little more complicated because it actually allows you to do scrolling and other features like that. I still think a lot of people are saying this is going to take some getting used to, and I think it's going to take some feedback from a lot of people using it for Apple to do some updates on how this gets used. I think a lot of that's going to be tuning in the software, and so I think this hardware will support new features that the haptic button provides. Okay, iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. So they updated. So now you saw previously on the 16 that there's a 6.1 and 6.7. They now have a 6.3 and 6.9 inch display on the Pro and Pro Max. Those are thinner borders, and they changed the form factor slightly, so the phone is just a little bit bigger than the iPhone 15 Pro. Um, you can see on the right, they're showing how they did machined frame to allow it to do better thermal handling. Um, it has the ProMotion display. It has 4 colors of titanium now, so a titanium case. Um, Black, white, natural, and desert. And the desert is kind of a dusty brownish gold color. Another new feature is zero shutter lag. Last year they had the 5x telephoto lens on the iPhone 15 Pro Max only. They have now brought the 5x telephoto down to the iPhone 16 Pro. It has an A18 Pro processor. Um, it supports the higher USB 3 speeds for data transfer. They also talked about a new feature, and it wasn't clear if this will be supported eventually on the iPhone 16 or not. But they call it audio mix, where it cancels background noise. It can isolate a voice track or a single instrument to allow you to capture that directly. And then so you can have background music playing, but then you could record your voice only. So it makes it easier for recording people to record just one track at a time and be able to isolate it from the background. This also supports spatial audio capture, which is supporting all the headphones that Apple has, but also for the Apple Vision Pro, being able to do spatial audio and the spatial video, which the iPhone 15 Pro also captured. So in terms of pricing, um, I actually copied the chart from last year and I had to change four things on here. I changed the 15s to 16s, and that was the only thing that changed. So it's now been 2 years in a row. From the 14 to the 16, they've had the same price for the intro model, the 16 Plus, the 16 Pro, and Pro Max. They're all the same prices, just a little bit better, a little bit faster, a little bit um, more capability for the phone. So they're making incremental upgrades, but they're keeping the prices the same. And I probably went through this pretty fast. Uh, I have links for the each of the items that I did, and I also noticed today, so I created this chart really quick. Um, Apple introduced today, not at their event, a iPad mini, which they're calling the A17 Pro. So this is an upgrade to the iPad mini to support Apple Intelligence. So it has now the A17 Pro processor, which is the same one as in the i15 Pro, except it has a 5-core version of the graphics unit instead of a 6-core, which the iPhone 15 Pro had. Um, it supports the Apple Pencil Pro now, the updated Wi-Fi, and it's eSIM only, so no more physical SIM in the iPad mini. It's pre-order now, available in October. The prices are the same as the previous iPad mini 6th generation, which I think was introduced about 3 years ago. They are starting now with 128 gig, which the previous one had 64 gig model. And that's still $499. You add 150 for cellular. These are the four colors that are available. I think they call it Space Gray, Starlight. I think it's purple and blue, although that blue looks really green to me, so maybe it's just what I'm looking at it against. Does anyone have any questions about the recent Apple announcements?
Thank you, Tony, especially for bringing in the new iPad mini. That was kind of a stealth announcement. I think wasn't it just like a press release?
Yep, a press release, and everybody picked it up. And I really think the big thing is the only iPad now that doesn't support Apple Intelligence is the base iPad, because the iPad Air and the iPad Pro support it. Um, and any of the M series computers support it, so the iPad Pros definitely support it. And the new iPhones all support it. The iPhone 16, the iPhone 16 Pro, and going back 1 year, the iPhone 15 Pro. Now, the iPhone 15 does not support Apple Intelligence, but so I think they're kind of tweaking everything to make it so that it supports Apple Intelligence now.
Well, my iPad will not support Apple Intelligence, but I don't need it. Gretchen knows everything, so all I have to do is ask her. Uh, so now we're going to move on to the annual Geek gift guide. And I have that, should have it all set up and share that one. And welcome to the Geek gift guide for 2024 for the Tucson Macintosh User Group. First, I want to thank everybody who contributed ideas for this. Had a lot of support. Had a lot of support from everybody, plus some people who didn't know they were supporting us. And I tried to give them credit, but I may have left somebody out. And if I left you out, I profoundly apologize. So we're going to move into iPhone related suggestions. The first thing we have here is a continuity camera mount We talked a little bit about continuity camera in the Ask Me Anything session. Here's a mount for MagSafe iPhones. You can use this mount. You could use an iPhone, a, a new iPhone or an older iPhone to replace your camera for Zoom and FaceTime and other video conferencing. And this one clips on the top of your monitor, your iMac, and holds your camera there for that. And this is $25. It's magnetic phone stand for all iPhones that use that magnetic display, magnetic attachment. Next, we have wireless CarPlay. And this is also something that came up in the Ask Me Anything, but this doesn't really apply. But if you don't have CarPlay in your car, you are really missing something. This CarPlay unit, it uses wireless CarPlay, and it will use CarPlay, Android Auto, a portable touchscreen, and it uses Bluetooth and even has a backup camera. And you can use Apple Maps navigation with it as well. And that's the way I like going around town, is with Apple Maps navigation. And that's $80. Now, some cars have a nice little place where you can set your phone down. Some of them are charging ports, and some of them are just little areas in your car that you can slide it into. I'm lucky enough to have one of those, but in Gretchen's car, there's really no place to safely put it other than in a drink holder. And drink holders are next to drinks and could possibly be an issue. So we found this holder for MagSafe phones, and it has a very, very tough Velcro-like attachment that you stick on your, we stuck it on the dashboard, and this grips to that. And then with a MagSafe car mount, it will hold your car phone right where you want it to be. It says for dashboard or windshield. I wouldn't recommend this for a windshield in Arizona. It just gets too hot. But at $18, it is a good price, and you can bend that thing all around several times, but not an infinite number of times before the titanium will give out on you. And here's a nice case for your iPhone. This one is called the Everyday Case for an iPhone, and it was suggested by David Sparks of Mac Power Users. Not Davis Sparks, but David Sparks. I missed that one in my proofread. It's a nice leather case. Don't get me started on leather. I like leather. And it starts at $72. Here's a Peak Design mobile wallet. It's a case and a little wallet that you can, on the back of it, where you can keep, looks like about 4 or 5 credit cards. Designed by Peak Design, which is a very well-known and trusted purveyor of bags and camera bags and luggage and other things like that. This one is $60. Now, if you ever had dust bunnies build up in your phone's lightning port, you might want something like this. This is a little cleaning kit for cleaning out USB ports, USB cables, and lightning ports, and even your AirPods. So sometimes you can build up enough stuff in there that you can't charge it or get data in and out. This is a nice little, this was uh, presented on Mac Geek Gab. And I have posted the show notes to TMUG Talk, and they have all of the appropriate links. And please know that I've been working on this for some time, so the prices may have changed, higher or lower. Almost all the links are through Amazon. Here we have a MagSafe ring holder. I have one that I use myself, very similar to that. And it gives you a place to hold it, a kickstand, and it's removable, and it uses the MagSafe magnet to hold it onto your phone. Here's something suggested by Melissa Davis. And she showed it to us at the Pima Air and Space Museum during the photo walk that took place on the 5th of October. It is a selfie stick. It's a tripod. It's a iPhone holder, and it has a remote control. Nice little thing. It says something about in there, it says the solidest cell phone tripod. I wouldn't say that, but it's a nice little thing, and it's something that you can fold up pretty small and take with you on a trip. And that's $23. Thanks, Melissa. Along with that, again, suggested by Melissa, is this little device. It is a face tracking device that you attach to your tripod. And when you set it up, it looks at you. And as you move around the room, it will follow you around, kind of like a puppy. It moves all the way around 360 degree rotation. And if you are demonstrating something and you're using your iPhone as the camera and you're moving around the kitchen or wherever it is, or if you are on a FaceTime call with your family and your grandparents or something like that, it might be nice to have this that will look around and follow you around the room. Now, iPhones, as we've just found out, are more expensive this year than they were last year, but they're still expensive. And if you or your loved one could be considered a Butterfingers, maybe you want a really tough case to put your iPhone in. This one's called the Ultra Bounce case, and it was suggested by Roger. And it is pricey. It's $102. But if you're likely to drop it, or if you have someone around who's likely to drop it, paying $102 instead of paying a couple hundred to $1,000 for a repair or replacement, it's not that bad of a price. Of course, you might want to carry it around with you with a lanyard. And this lanyard works well with that case. I think it's a little pricey at $62, but you won't lose it. Here's some Macintosh related suggestions, starting with Paste, the clipboard manager. This was suggested by Pilot Pete on the Mac Geek Gab, and it's one that I use myself. It will keep a record of almost infinite number of the last things that you put on the clipboard. I find it essential. It is $30 a year from the App Store, or it comes with SetApp. SetApp is something we're going to be going into in a future presentation. It's a group of applications. You get more than 200 of them that you can download and use. I wouldn't suggest downloading all 200 of them, but you could. And once you have used a clipboard manager, you really don't want to live without it. For example, if you're filling out a form online, it says, put your first name here, put your last name here, put your street address here, put your city here, and your state here, and your zip code and your phone number. You could go to the place that you have that information, copy all of them, and then use the clipboard manager to paste just the part that you want in there at the time. Next, we have 10-minute mail. Again, suggested by Pilot Pete on Mac Geek Gab. What the heck is this? It is a free temporary email. You want to sign up for a site which requires you provide an email address to send a validation, but you don't want to give me your real email address to end up, or you'll end up on a bunch of spam lists. This gives you a free email address for 10 minutes. So there's a link to that as well in the show notes. Even though Apple thinks CDs and DVDs are dead, not everybody does. Here is a external CD drive that also doubles as a USB hub and a place to plug in your SD cards and so forth as well. And it has a USB-C and a USB-A connector on the end of the cable. So you are protected from needing to buy one. I have a external CD drive, CD, DVD, writer, reader. It's a really nice thing to have, especially at $30. Okay, so you're on the road and you have some work to do. And the 13 or 14-inch monitor you have on your MacBook Pro just ain't big enough. Here is a portable monitor suggested by Chuck Joyner of Mac Voices. And it's a 15-inch 1080p full HD monitor that you can bring along and plug into your MacBook Pro or MacBook and get a second monitor. And Chuck did a lot of research on this one and picked this one because the display was good and the price was right at $66. Here's a monitor light suggested by Steve Parker of the Milwaukee Mug Double Click. It clips on the top of your monitor, your iMac, and gives you light straight down on your desktop, which is where you need the light if you want to take notes or need to read something. He feels it works really well, and it is adjustable in brightness and adjustable in color temperature, and uses USB-C at 140. Here's a keyboard covers suggested by Susan Clement, and there's really not a link for this other than a generic link to Amazon to search for keyboard covers. There's many, many, many different keyboard layouts out there, and you need to find the one that fits for you. When I went looking for some, I found them from $7 to $27. Susan reports that eventually the keys that you use most will get a hole in them. So you buy another one. Now, I don't run one on this computer because I would never eat or drink anything while I'm in front of the computer. Excuse me. But you may want to buy one or even two at a time so you have a backup ready to go when it does develop a hole in it. Now, power management suggestions. We have smart plugs, again, suggested by Susan Clement. And these are smart plugs that work with Apple HomeKit, and they are a nice thing to have around. $40 for a 4-pack of them. I use some of these around the house to turn lights on and off regularly. We have a small little ceramic fountain in the house, and we have that go on. They're wonderful for Christmas lights or other decorations. So this is something that you could check out. It works with Apple Home, and I believe it also works with other voice assistants as well. Again, if you are a road warrior like Pilot Pete from Mac Geek Gab, this is a way to eliminate a lot of the little charging blocks that you would need to carry with you. Here's this one thing that's small. You can see, get an idea of how big it is by looking at the prong coming out of the back and the USB ports, and it will give you 100 watts of power. So you can charge most MacBooks, other than the really biggest ones, with this, and you can charge other things as well. And it's one of those GAN chargers, and it works well. And it also comes with international adapters, which is something that somebody like Pilot Pete, who flies all over the world for FedEx, needs with him at all times. Now, here's something that needs a little explanation. I have over here a stereo cabinet from the 70s. It's a nice piece. It's nice wood and so forth, but I don't have the component stereo anymore or the turntable that sits on top. So the laser printer sits on top, and I call it my server cabinet. And it has some hard drives in there and a Synology drive and other things, all kind of producing some heat. And I've showed this at a previous TMUG meeting, and Jerry Cedarquist rightly pointed out, gee, do you have a fan in there? Because things can get hot in there. And two of my hard drives have enclosures have little temperature displays on them. And it used to be that those displays, especially in the summertime, would go up easily to 100 degrees. And I know that these enclosures, if they reach 120, they'll shut themselves down to try to save themselves. And I've been looking for solutions to put fans in there. The little fans that you can get about 4 inches in diameter at Walmart that clip onto something, just really weren't doing the right job. And I found this one, and it really works well. I used the little rubber footies and so forth to make it stand up, and it's behind the hard drives in there, and it blows cool air out of them. The thing I like the best is it is a speed control on there, and it allows me to adjust the speed to make sure everything is cool enough. So now, even all summer long, right now it says one hard drive says 87 degrees, the other says 86.7. All summer long, I don't think it got anywhere near 100. Up in the low 190s is as much as high as it went. So I've been very happy with this, and $30 was a good price for that. Again, if you're a road warrior, you need to get your stuff charged. Here's a MagSafe travel charger for your phone, your watch, and your AirPods. And you can see how neatly it folds up. This again was suggested by David Sparks, and I changed Davis to David in this one. And it is $150. Seems kind of pricey to me, but to have it all charged on one thing and reducing the load that you have to carry when you travel may well be worth it. Also, when you travel, your Apple Watch can run out of juice or get close to running out of juice. Here is a portable battery slash charger for the Apple Watch. This was suggested by Jeff Carlson of the Photo Active podcast. I like this one because it has that display showing how much charge is available in the battery. And at 15 bucks, I think it's worth it. Again, we're talking power. Here's an extension cord with 8 regular outlets, and it has a few uh, I has a few USB outlets on it as well, and a nice long cord suggested by Jason Snell of MacBreak Weekly. So if the only outlet you have available is the one that's behind the headboard, you can plug in there and pull this out and still have the ability to get at it with your power cords. Now, if you really, really want to have power and you're in an area where you might lose power more regularly, here is the Jackery Solar Generator 2000 Plus as a kit. It gives you some solar panels. It gives you a couple of batteries, 2 or 3 batteries. And this one even includes a way to plug it into your power panel on your breaker box. I'm sure that part would need to be installed by a licensed electrician who knows what they're doing. And it can save your bacon, but it's going to cost a lot of bacon to do it. It says this setup has over 6,000 watt hours of power, and with 400-watt solar panels and 2 battery packs, and you can get additional batteries as well. This was suggested on Mac Geek Gab. I don't think I need it that much. I hope. Knock on wood. Okay, so other suggestions that just don't fit anywhere else. Here's something that I've seen a lot of commercials for on TV and on YouTube and so forth. If you don't buy anything from this list, please seriously consider this. It's a 40 by 40 inch blanket. You find some place to hang it up in your kitchen. And if you have a fire on your stove or something, you pull the 2 tabs and it pulls the blanket out of the red holder there. You throw it across the grease fire and it goes out. There's 1 for $30 or 4 for $80. I bought 4 of them. It's something that if you paid $30 and it put out 1 fire and it saved you from burning your kitchen down or your whole house down, that's a pretty cheap price. So certainly consider this. Here's a smart LED strip that Susan suggested, and probably will be something that Melissa likes as well. It's a 16-foot Wi-Fi LED strip that works with Alexa, Google Home, and smart things. And it is a strip of LEDs, and you can change the colors and do all kinds of stuff with it for $27. Something you might want to have. I know Melissa has some lights like these in her home. And this also made me think of Melissa. Here is a floor lamp that you kind of put in the corner and point it at the wall or the corner. And it has all the as a remote control, and it looks like an app for it as well. And you can change the colors and do 68 different scenes and so forth. Maybe. If you have an older TV that does not a smart TV, you might want us to consider a Google TV set-top box for 4K for $20. Obviously, you still have to subscribe to Netflix, Disney, Hulu, YouTube, ESPN, Stars, BET, AMC, yada, 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 and Peacock. But this would be an inexpensive way to get that other TV up to the 21st century. Again, from Mac Geek. Here's an interesting little telescope. I don't really know how big it is, but I think it's pretty darn small. And it allows you to do astrophotography, capture the moon, sun, Milky Way, galaxy, nebula in just minutes. You can also use it for bird watching and shooting 1 billion pixel panorama photos. If I had an extra $500 in my pocket, I might buy one of these. Now, here's something, again, that I would suggest that you really consider, especially with a low price. If you have a car that has a fob that allows you to get into the car and start the car without touching a key or even pressing a button on the fob, I understand that those can be hacked and someone can then duplicate it and they have the keys to your car. This is a Faraday pouch that you put the fob in. The reason that I really like it is the 2-pack for $8. And when you put it in the pouch, the signal inside the fob can't get out and open your car door, and someone can't come along and hack into it and pull out the key to the fob and duplicate it. When I go to Macstock in summertime, Roger is my co-pilot eastbound, and I always give the extra fob that I have for my car to Roger. So if I fall off a cliff or get run over by a pie wagon, Roger can still drive home. But that means that on the way home, I have to carry both fobs with me at all times, because if you leave an active fob in your car and close the door, the car starts to complain about it. So this way I can slide one in there and have it in the car so I can still get at it if I really need to. Also, it allows me to leave it in the car, as I said. It allows me to leave it around the house. So if somebody's coming through the house, they can't hack into it just as they're passing by. If you really, really want a really good Bluetooth reference monitor, also known as a speaker, someone suggested this. I don't remember who. I'm sorry. The iLoud Micro Monitor 50-watt portable wireless Bluetooth reference monitor is the set's only $350. Again, suggested by Susan Clement, airfoil from Rogue Amoeba. Airfoil allows you to stream your music to all of your devices around your house. And it's a free download with a purchase of $35. And I believe Susan told me that she has paid the $35 and she really enjoys it. Now, do you like your coffee or your tea at one specific temperature? A little higher than that's too hot, a little cooler than that's too cold. Well, here is a temperature-controlled smart mug where it will keep your warm drink at the temperature that you desire for up to 80 minutes. David Sparks from Mac Power Users suggests that you buy this for only $125. I generally am close enough to the microwave to heat it up if I wanted to get it warmer again, but that's just me. Now, here's something I actually did buy, a suggestion on Mac Geek Gab. And see, being selfless guy that I am, this cost me money as well. We have a standalone, stand-up freezer in the house. And a few months back, one of us, I don't know who, didn't close the door quite all the way. We caught it pretty quickly, within an hour or two, and the ice cream was really, really soft, but none of the meat or other things went bad in there. And when we closed it, it went back to temperature it needed to be. This is a set of two thermometers and humidity meters that you can place in different places. And you can say, I want the temperature, I want a notification on my phone if the temperature goes above X or below Y. And it becomes a Internet of Things device around. And so I purchased one of those, um, two of them, plus the base unit for $40. You can, for fridge freezer, humidity sensor readings, they say pet cage, tank monitoring. I'm not sure what tank monitoring means. And it gives you smartphone alerts. So this might be something really worth considering as well. Sometimes when you're doing still photography or video photography, you need a little more light or you need more control over the light. Here is a light that you can use, and it is adjustable for color temperature and brightness, and it has a magnetic attraction and app control. I think it means it'll stick to something for $90. Dave Hamilton of Mac Geek Gab is a musician and is very protective of his ears and his hearing. He knows that he is, as a drummer in a band, that he can be damaging his hearing. And so he recommends the Eargasm earplugs. And it is earplugs with blue filters. I'm not sure what a blue filter means. For hearing protection to concerts, festivals, for musicians, live music, and so forth. If you are in those areas, you might want to really consider something like this. And Roger pops up again with his cell phone drying kit. This is something that I haven't bought one yet, but I should and keep it around. Here in the desert, we have less opportunity to get our phones wet, but there's still opportunity to do so. And if you do, you can put it in this bag and that'll dry it out. And it is a good idea for that. Put it in the bag and let it dry. I think if you really think about it, most of the printing you do black and white only would be fine. Color is nice, but here is an inexpensive Brother printer that we use in this house for $120, and it has suits us well. In fact, I think Gretchen over the last 15 years is probably it's probably about on her third one, and it is a nice printer to have, and it doesn't dry out in the desert here because the ink's already dry. Here's something from Melissa. Melissa, I think that you might want some of these. These are AirPod skins, and they are luminous. Helps you find your AirPods and look cool at the same time. Made me think of you, Melissa. Here is a wallet tracker. Basically, it is a AirTag kind of device that is about the thickness, it says, of about two credit cards, and you can put it in your wallet for $30. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions? In that case, I think that we can probably call it an evening. I'd like you to make sure that you uh, drive safely on the way home.
Don't forget the raffle.
Thank you, Kurt. The raffle, and I gotta save the chat again as well. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Now we have 27 people on the list as attendees. And let's see if pick a number between 1 and 27. What did you say? Pick a number between 1 and 27. Pick a number between 1 and 27.
Done.
Pick another number between 1 and 27. Pick a random number between 1 and 27.
The answer is 28.
No, 28's not one of the choices, Siri. Kurt, why don't you ask your Siri to pick a number between 1 and 27? He says no.
I'll ask if you
Chris
want. I'll ask the
Wesselman.
AI
Chris
engine.
Wesselman. Can you do that for us? Go ahead, Kevin, you do it.
Okay, I put it into perplexity. It's calculating it, so to be good. The number picked between 1 and 27 is 18.
18. 18 is Tom McGorry. Now I'm going to look at the list of previous raffle winners. Tom McGorry is
Your
a
Apple Watch
previous.
does it too.
What was that, Melissa?
Your Apple Watch will do it too.
Right.
Tom McGorry has also already won this year. So we're going to try again. Try it again, Kevin.
Use your Apple Watch.
I think we have a volunteer.
Okay. It is going. Answer. Oh, I'll say pick another number. Gotta love AI. It picks the same number twice. 23.
23. Logan White.
Yeah. I think he won like
Okay,
3
he's
months
still-
ago.
Here? I don't think so. Kurt, is Logan a current member?
Believe so.
Okay. Very good. So now, 11 new messages I haven't seen.
Yep, current member.
Okay, great. And Bob Doms has put the feedback form poll back into the chat once again. So please click on that, and you don't have to fill it out till tomorrow, but just leave it in an open tab in your browser. And please fill that out. So now I'm going to save the chat again.
Bob, you're going to put the list of the links to the gift guide on the forum?
Already there.
All right.
So if there are no other questions, and I did get to chat again, I think. And
Could I just ask a quick question?
sure, go ahead, Diana.
The cleaning of the ports, I'm not familiar with that. Is that something that should be done or only an emergency?
It should be done if you're having trouble charging your phone or getting it connected. It would be a good idea to do that.
One important tip, don't use toothpicks, paper clips or anything that's metal. A plastic toothpick or a wood toothpick works best, as far as I'm concerned. You'll be surprised the amount of pocket lint you can pull out of those ports on the bottom of the phone.
That's true.
Yep, and it can be a problem. And use a wooden toothpick, something non-conductive, will help you get that cleaned out. And you don't need to do it unless you're having a problem. It also had stuff for AirPods to clean the ear jam out of the AirPods. So that the link for that is in the show notes as well.
Where are the show notes?
Show notes are in the TMUG Talk forum. If you're subscribed to that, you already have it. Is there anybody here who is a TMUG member who is not subscribed to TMUG Talk, TMUG Announce, and TMUG Public? If so, raise your hand.
I'm subscribed.
You should have gotten it in your email then, Tommy.
Then you already have it in your email. Or you can go on the groups.io website and get another copy.
I don't get them.
Let me look and see if you are subscribed, Tommy.
Chris, you had a question?
Yeah, with the new USB-C connectors on iPhones and iPads, I just casually looking in there, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of room to be poking toothpicks and stuff in. Not sure that's a great idea.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing because I was having some trouble with one of my cables, and I went poking around in there looking with a magnifier lens to see what I could see. And you're right, there's not a whole lot of room in there. They do make little brushes that are meant for cleaning out the ports as opposed to a toothpick. So there's brushes that have bristles that could get in there better than, if you used a really clean toothbrush, you'd probably have more luck, or maybe even a paintbrush, as long as it's got tight bristles that's not going to break off in there. But they do make specially designed brushes with bristles that can clean out those ports that would get in there better.
One of the tools in that kit.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it's designed for. And Tommy, yes, you are subscribed. You had Amarillo 56, and you subscribed to the full digest on June 14th of 2020. So you should have that in your email inbox.
I did it, but okay, I'll look at tomorrow then, see what happens.
Okay.
Hey,
I'll
Chris,
help you out with it on Thursday.
what I use are these little, I don't know if you could see them. They're little plugs. You put them in your USB-C port, and it keeps all the dust and dirt out of there, since I use MagSafe for everything.
That's a good idea.
Oh, okay. I can remember it was a big issue in the old days when the phones are smaller and guys would put them in their shirt pocket with the port down.
Yeah.
And then they would obviously collect a lot of lint and stuff. But as the phones got bigger and got too big for the top pocket, and I use a lanyard loop, for my phone when I'm doing, photography with this and a real camera, a big camera. And so I pull the phone out of my pocket using that loop. So I tend to keep the port up. And that way the lenses are down inside my pocket and better protected. So I haven't had a problem for 2 or 3 iPhones. I've
Yeah,
never
if you
had
look at the
anything get in
bottom
there.
of mine, then you can see it. You can't see the port. I have one of those plugs in
Okay.
there. And when I charge it, I drop it on a MagSafe charger. I never plug anything into here.
No solution, I assume.
What kind of port do you have, Diana?
Lightning and USB-C.
Okay. Is it the lightning that you're having more trouble with? Or both of them? Or you're just
You know
wondering
what,
in general?
Melissa, I
Hmm.
was actually talking about the kit that Bob talked about, and I realized I'd never cleaned any of my ports. I don't know.
Well, then you
I've
probably didn't have
cleaned,
any trouble
I've cleaned
charging.
one power port on a MacBook Pro in 20 some odd years.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, like Bob said, I mean, it's kind of like if you're having problems, then you need to clean them.
And
You'll
that
know when
falls
you
in
need
the
to clean them.
category of if it ain't broke,
Right.
don't fix it.
Right, because you don't want to go in there and dig around if you don't have to, because you might cause more damage.
Good night,
Yes, I
everyone.
don't play around with electronics too often.
Mhm. And honestly, I mean, if you took it into an Apple store, they will clean it for you. Because we were standing in line one time and we were getting ready to buy something and we were just waiting and we had a question and I mentioned something to one of the gals and they actually keep those cleaners on their carabiners in their pockets and she just whipped one out and cleaned the port on my husband's phone and just did it right then and there. So just bring it up. You don't get what you don't ask for. So just say something to them and they'll clean it out for you right there on the spot. And then you don't even have to buy a kit.
Uh-oh, there goes the Christmas gift.
Sorry. Forget I said anything. There's plenty of other things to choose from.
Okay. Well, have a good month, everybody. See us next month for Allison Sheridan and Tiny Tips.
That'll be fun.
good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Night.
Good night. Melissa.